But what I did get a chance to watch is I saw an advanced screening of the new movie Champions, the Bobby Farrelly movie that is coming out in a week, starring Woody Harrelson, Kaitlin Olson, the duo there. And the one thing I will say is, prior to seeing the movie, I was curious about this movie. You know, the Farrelly brothers have been synonymous for comedy movies in the 90s. You know, there's something about Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene. So many like hits, but also a lot of misses. One thing I also kind of worried about too was that their brand of humor was good for a certain period. That stuff doesn't really necessarily track today, right? And I was a little worried going into this, especially because of the subject matter, where it could be very cringeworthy. It could be another The Ringer situation. And if you don't know what that is, The Ringer is a movie that Johnny Knoxville did. Almost similar premise, except it involves really the Special Olympics. And the biggest controversy there was that you had actual, real, non-disabled actors playing intellectually disabled people, and that was like a major, kind of controversy. You still had intellectually disabled actors in the movie, but it was like a half and half thing. Um, in this movie, all the intellectual disabled people are actually intellectually disabled, and they're all either actors or people that they had hired to be in the movie. And the one thing that I appreciated that they did was that they put the light on them, with their disabilities earlier on. But then as soon as they did that, they totally forgot it afterwards. And everyone was just people. And I thought that was the key thing that they needed to do there, and not harp on it and make fun of it the whole time. Because yeah, you kind of get laughs about their quirkiness, and like, this guy, he does this, and this guy, he does that. That's kind of what he does. Get that out of the way early. Don't harp on it throughout the whole movie, you know? And then the rest of the movie was just basically Woody Harrelson learning how to work and coach a team that actually didn't even want him there, and all that stuff like that. So it became very heartwarming, very touching. It became like really like one of those like comedic dramas, where you would have normally have seen this like in one of the older sports related movies like The Replacements, or I could name so many different other sports movies that had similar situations, right? Where by the end of the movie, yeah, to- totally, yeah, yes, yeah. And at the end of the movie, everyone gets together, everyone's in love with each other, everyone's our friends, they're all friends, and obviously they keep going doing what they're doing and all that stuff like that. I'm not gonna spoil anything now, but I was pleasantly surprised on how much I actually enjoyed it. It's not a great movie, but for something again that I was on the fence on. I'm actually really happy that I had a chance to see it, because it made me realize, oh, you know what, this is actually a pretty decent movie, and I think people will get a kick out of it when they decide to watch it. Is it a cinema movie? No. Do you have to go to the movie theaters to watch it? No. I think this is like a perfect Netflix, Apple Plus TV, that type of platform movie that you could just watch from home. And I think it'll be just as good as my experience was when I saw it in the theater. The reason why I got a chance to see it too was because Regal does these like mystery movie nights where they kind of like they choose a Monday during the month, and they are allowed to advance screen a movie that's coming out soon. But the thing is, they don't tell you what it is, so it's like a mystery thing. And I've been to several of these already. This is probably the most packed I've been. I've been at one of these. Like the theater was actually pretty packed for this showing, for a movie that not a lot of people know what's happening, right? And then number two, when people found out what movie it was, normally in the past I've seen a good amount of people leave. They're like, I don't want to watch this. Like,
Wow, interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Like
Huh.
Spirited. Spirited was one of those where I saw it
Oh
in the
gosh.
theater, and like half the theater left. They're like, I don't
Wow.
want to see this musical, all that kind of stuff. That in this showing, I'm talking about like a good 70% packed house. 2 people left, only 2. Everyone else stuck around and watched, and people were laughing, and they were, like, kind of cheering at the end and all that, so, I think people were also surprised on how much they enjoyed and liked this movie a lot. So, that should say something for this movie, and I think, again, the people that I was with are more of your general audience, so I think this movie will do well, not at the box office, but I think if people give it a chance once they hit streaming. So I was really, really happy I had a chance to see it. Were you familiar with this movie about it coming out? Or, you know?
Familiar with it, and also the Woody Harrelson on SNL. I'm an SNL
Yeah.
fan.
Yep.
Most of all,
Hmm.
though, I grew up playing sports, and those were
Hmm.
like my favorite movies growing
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Which I'm glad we're going to get into Creed 3 because goodness
Yeah.
gracious, if I wasn't raised on Rocky movies, and those were super significant, and the ones I listed earlier on and on, I saw the poster and thought, oh no, Woody Harrelson's taking a step back from Triangle of Sadness and
Right.
thinking it might be more one of those. I'm thinking like bench warmers, the John Hader, Rob Schneider type, or basketball. It was
Right.
like looking like it
Right. Right.
might be that genre.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear it's at least not horrid National Lampoon late era trash. So that's promising. I can't help myself but watch a sports movie,
Yeah.
and I'm curious, more likely to see it now after you told me about it. So thank you, and I'm
Yeah.
glad you stuck it out. Then it sounds like it wasn't, at least it wasn't the absolute trash that I was worried it was when I saw the poster. I didn't even know what the plot or what it was about or the team or anything. It was just like
Right.
Woody Harrelson sports movie, like okay, because it's not the best genre. Which I mean, again, we're
No.
gonna get into Creed 3 in a second. It's a
Yeah.
tough genre to make great movies in. It's just like it's kind of like horror or something like that, where like a lot of people are gonna
Hmm.
go see it because people like sports, they like the subject matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll let you know once I check that one out.
Yeah, and like I said, it is. I mean, I know you enjoy going to the theater and watching movies there. You don't necessarily have to with this one. Like it'll be just as good watching it from home. So I will say like it's not one of those you have to rush out into the theater to watch it, but give it a shot. I would say give it a shot. The performances were really good. Of course, Woody's Woody. You know, I thought he did a really good job. I'm not familiar with Kaitlin Olson, and I thought she did a pretty good job in it too. But everyone else was actually really good. Cheech Marin is in it. I thought
Hmm.
he did a good job. Ernie Hudson, those of you who are Ghostbusters fans will know, he did a pretty good job in it. There is one actress though that was brilliant. I'm not going to mention who she is, but when you watch it, you'll know who I'm talking about. She every time she's on the screen, she steals the moment, 100%, and she is brilliant. So every time she was on the screen, she said something, the lady next to me was always cheering, hooting and hollering because she's like, "Yeah, you go, girl! I love her." She'll be like that the whole time, because she definitely has sass and attitude, which is great. So yeah, so that's Champions right there, and like I said, it could have gone a whole different way, and it could have been like a very cringy type of movie. But I'm glad that it didn't turn out to be that way. So yeah, so those of you who are listening and watching, let me know if that is a movie that might interest you. Maybe that's a movie that you're willing to see. And yeah, let us know in the comments about all that.